as lawyers, that there's, in particular, they don't have many opportunities to understand about social justice, to understand about access to justice and the rule of law. They found that the curriculum is too inflexible and needs innovation, too centralized, and that law schools need more autonomy. Those were their main findings about the issues facing Vietnamese legal education now. Next slide. What did they recommend? They recommended that we support the law schools to build the capacities, the research capacities for a new generation of law teachers. That could include sending law teachers abroad to study LLMs or shorter-term research fellowships or short-term courses for law teachers in Vietnam. Very importantly, next slide, very importantly for this conference, they recommended we support law clinics to enhance practical skills, community service and access to justice. As you all know, UNDP commissioned further practical research about how that could work, and this conference is a part of that. So you all know about that particular part of the initiative. Next slide. They said we should directly support those universities who are trying to do new and interesting things to change the way of teaching in Vietnam. Things like law teachers who are developing case books for a more practical teaching methodology based in real cases. Helping law teachers in specialized fields from different universities to start meeting together and discussing the way that they teach their subjects and how to renovate the way they teach their subjects. Recently we have some distinguished constitutional law teachers today at different levels, and we've recently been talking about how we could support Vietnamese constitutional law teachers to renovate the constitutional law curriculum, for example. To strengthen teaching methodologies and support a national association of law schools, as well as, of course, exchanges with foreign scholars. And they talked about the importance of more macro-level, higher-level policy support to improving the regulation of education, such as the curriculum. They said that that's much more difficult. All the stuff I've talked about now, up to now, are things individual universities can do, and we can work very practically with each law training institution to improve the way that they do their teaching, the way that they organize law clinics, and so on. Things like giving universities more autonomy, things like changing the curriculum are much more complicated to change. They need to be changed at the level of the state. That's a much more long-term engagement. It's more difficult for a donor to get involved. It's policy change. Ultimately, it depends on politics and the political will and decisions of politicians. And donors don't really have much of a role or much success in influencing that. But they still had some recommendations that we could contribute to helping people at the political level and helping those engaged with legal education nationally to understand better about how things work in other countries, to understand about the reform of universities, development of curriculum in China and other regional countries, to give them a better understanding of the options and to think about how things could change in Vietnam. So we could have regional conferences on legal education reform, looking at things like reforming the curriculum, credit system, the autonomy of universities and things like that. So those are the recommendations we had about the main areas to work in. We were encouraged to focus on these very substantive, I was going to say technical, but to focus on this capacity building, to focus on very practical issues about changing the way that law is taught, and helping things like law clinics, things of that sort. Well, so we agree with those recommendations, and we think that these main things, strengthening the capacity of teachers, enhancing their practical skills of students through law clinics, helping universities really become research centres, which they're not now at all, and supporting curriculum reform, those are all good things to do. that's the easy part. That's the part we agree upon, and I think I suspect that all of you agree that those are priorities and things that you would like support with. But now we have the more difficult thing, which is how we do it. So we're going to go straight to the next slide, because this is really where I need your support, I need your ideas, your creativity, because here we face the major challenge. Projects have a single partner in Vietnam, perhaps everywhere. So when a donor like UNDP draws up a legal education project, one institution will implement that project. But as I said before, one aspect about support up to now that we noticed was that, for example, the one project so far only supported Hanoi Law University and Ho Chi Minh City Law University, and it struck us as a weakness if we adopted the same approach, because one of the principles that we want to support is greater networking between the universities. It's allowing the universities to learn from each other, to meet and exchange. One of the things that I have been impressed about in the last year with law clinics is the degree to which you have all met up, taken part in each other's trainings, helped teach each other.